Today I'll be showing you how to make sauerkraut the kosher way. And this whole part that I'm going to be showing you is about bugs. Because to make sauerkraut kosher, the most important thing is to make sure you're not eating bugs. Now when anyone hears about not eating bugs, the rules of kashrus, it's the last thing they want to hear about. Nobody likes those rules. Everybody thinks, oh, whatever. But actually, eating a bug is worse than eating pig. So it's pretty important. First, we want to peel off the gross outside layers because bugs can easily get on there. Because a cabbage grows in such a tight way, after you get off the outside layers, you only have to check, according to the Chafke, I think, the next few layers. So after I peel off all the gross layers, I cut the cabbage. I actually like to cut mine in quarters because it makes it easier to check and to peel. And now I'm only going to take off about the outside, 1, 2, 3, 4, about 4 layers. And now I just check them. So cabbage is pretty easy to check because it's usually pretty clean. Like if there's an infestation, then you'll see like a ton of little black bugs. It is possible, I think, to see a green one, but if you look it over, then you could basically find whatever there is. So like using a little bit of light is a good idea. So like this window is actually really helping me because it it allows you to a little bit see through the cabbage. And if there's like a bug there, then you would see it. Usually they're black, so you don't have to
Are you too tight?
Okay, so you look through all the pieces. These pieces are harder to look through, obviously, because they're all like crumpled up like that. So you just pull them apart, and if something is too hard to check, or if there's like dirtiness on it, I would just throw it out because it's not really worth it for your time. I used to think that the non-Jews who make sauerkraut and say, oh, it's so hard to make sauerkraut, when do you find the time? That they were just big crybabies because they don't have to even check their cabbage. And then I realized I was just a big crybaby because it takes about 2 minutes to check the 3 layers of cabbage. Like I checked those 4 layers. It's right here. So now I'm going to chop it up. But actually the part that I already, the inside part, I'm just going to show you that because that's the more interesting part. Just cutting out the core.
Which nobody likes.
Okay, so now I'm going to cut this, and so bugs wise, usually if the outside is clean, the inside is going to be okay, and all you have to do is cut it up, and then you can look through it very closely just to check that there's no big infestation. If you see like tons of black bugs all over, obviously, you should throw this out. If you do find a bug in the outside leaves, then you should check the next 3 layers too. And if you keep finding bugs, like I think that they say if you find 3 bugs, you should probably throw it out closely. So you cut that up just like that, and you can just look through it very, very quickly, just to make sure there's no very obvious infestation. So that's it. That's the way to check cabbage. So if anyone's interested in learning more about that, then they can send us a little request. I'm sure nobody will, because like I said before, no one's ever interested in learning about how to check for bugs and things like that, but we all know the great reward that comes if you do the effort to feed your family healthy foods, and I can guarantee you that the rewards are even better if you are careful about the mitzvos and halacha and not eating bugs. Okay, so now I cut up all of my cabbage in the bowl, and I'm going to add salt. It's really too small. Okay, so this bowl was too small to really show on the video. That this one's been sitting here for a little while with the salt already mixed in, and you can see that it's wet. That's actually just juice from the actual cabbage. Like at the bottom, you could see that there's juice down there. And the more you mix it and the more you wait, the more water will come out. And then you can pack this in. Okay, so I'm up to the part where I'm gonna get all of this withered, wet cabbage into my jar. And I know everyone's only watching so they can see what's for dinner, so. Chicken wings for dinner. The most delicious and cheapest part of the chicken. It's definitely
and most best.
And now a word from our sponsors.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here we have our vegetable medley, or we could have a sauerkraut also. Your sauerkraut or your vegetable medley is par because it's just vegetables and salt. Now, how do we keep it par? Now, normally, something cold inside of a container doesn't have a transfer of taste. But something that's soaked in a liquid that sits in a container for 24 hours, or something that's salty that even if it's less than 24 hours, even a short amount of time, there is a transfer of taste. So you want to put your sauerkraut in a par jar to keep it par. And also when you stick in your spoons or your forks or whatever utensil you're using to take it out, so you also don't want that to be sitting in your sauerkraut for a long time, because if you have a flakes spoon that, was just in your chicken soup, now you cleaned it off, and you put it inside here, you run the risk of transferring flakes taste into your sauerkraut, and then it would best not be to use that, at least l'chadchila, not to use that with a milchik meal. And therefore, the best idea would be to use a parv container and also parv utensils to take out your sauerkraut and your vegetable medley.
Here's lunch. Cucumbers, sauerkraut, chicken, tahina.
Okay, now I will tell you my horror story. So I made this huge thing of vegetable medley, which is that cabbage and beet and the garlic that I've been showing you how I make. And at the end you fill it up with water, and it's delicious. And every meal I'm just freaking out about how gorgeous my magenta side dish is with my food and everything. It's really exciting. And then one day I left it open on the table for a few hours after lunch or dinner. And I came back and I found a little white packet right on the top of the food, swimming in the water. Anyone who's fermented vegetables before knows that a little white circle on the top of your food is probably just some kind of yeast or something like that. It's usually no big deal, you scoop it out and get rid of it. But as I got closer, I noticed that it was actually larva. A little package of 100 little larvas, and it was very, very sad. And I scooped it out, but then because I didn't want to eat any of those larvae, and I wanted to be very careful, I had to throw it all out. At first I kept it in my fridge for about 2 months because I felt too bad about it. And then I had to get rid of it because it's more important not to eat non-kosher foods than to follow the GAPS or the Weston Price diet. And that is my final message. Au revoir.